You said that you're studying, you're doing a part-time job. What is your ultimate? What are you looking to do?
Um, so I'm trying with different things
Mm-hmm.
to figure out what I like best uh, after I graduate. Okay?
Yeah.
Uh, so I'm doing several things. Last year I did marketing
Mm-hmm.
for the trade office of Peru,
Okay.
um, and for for now I'm doing yes, kind also similar, not really similar. How to say? Um, Canada Trade Link.
I've heard of it. I don't know too much about it. No.
Okay, so we are also promoting export for Canadian businesses,
Okay.
and we organize trade missions, and we do business matching,
Oh,
and
great.
yeah, so it's like to represent the Canadian businesses
Mm-hmm.
to promote their presence or their products in
Mm-hmm.
different markets,
Right.
and are
Okay.
focusing on the emerging markets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's a lot of work that we are doing, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm in charge of client relations. I'm
Great.
looking for new clients and keep
Okay.
relationship with them, sort of stuff. And actually, before I landed with this job, I was thinking about logistics
Mm-hmm.
because I found that there's a huge demand for logistics or supply chain management as a whole. A lot of work from jobs from that field.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking too, because it seemed to me that it's a very dynamic um, environment,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sure you're expert in that. Can you tell me more? What do you think about working there? Maybe I would try in the future.
Well, so logistics and supply chain management, two completely different things.
Mm.
So supply chain
Oh,
focuses on anywhere from sourcing product to
yeah.
delivering the product to end consumer.
Mm.
Logistics is just a small piece of that, right?
Mhm.
Logistics is the transportation piece. So trucking, air freight, ocean freight,
Oh, it's very
um,
details.
that kind of thing, right? So it really depends on where in the spectrum you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
My past experience was in logistics, so the transportation side. So I was very much involved in air freight, goods moving by air freight, goods moving by ocean freight, coming
Mm-hmm.
into Canada, out of Canada. I did handle some trucking. I did do a little bit of trucking. Because I handled imports, I also got involved on the customs side. So I understood the customs, how it worked, what we needed to do to get a shipment cleared into Canada. And then eventually I understood the warehousing side as well,
Oh.
whether it was domestic, whether it was cross-border, and then the last mile delivery as well. So that's where my experience, that's where my past has been.
Uh-huh.
But now I've kind of expanded into supply chain because of my podcast. So
Oh.
now I'm talking about more supply chain topics. I'm talking about, sourcing. I'm talking about procurement. I'm talking about the different elements of supply chain, new innovation, technology, that kind of thing. So it depends
Mm.
where you want to land in supply chain. Supply chain is extremely dynamic.
Mhm.
No matter which place that you go, there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot changing,
Mhm.
and so much new innovation. Realistically, the logistics side of the business has been extremely traditional. And I think people would argue that the supply chain is kind of that way, but I think supply chain is a little bit further ahead than the actual logistics part of supply chain.
Oh.
And so there's a lot of changes happening, right? Companies, freight forwarders, not sure where they're going to land, carriers trying to make some moves, and shippers trying to encourage the different service providers to up their game and give them more options from a technology standpoint. So there's a lot going on in that space. So it really depends on what you want to do and where you want to be.
Hmm. Yes. Okay. I have some idea. Um, so it's like if I want to do like importing or exporting, opening a business, and doing that, and I would inform more with supply chain. Is that correct? And I think that for logistic, it's just I'll show it to I hire someone to do it.
Yeah. So, but you would still have to have somewhat of an understanding, because you don't want to just, rely on that outsource. You want to make sure that you understand what you're getting into, because the transportation component is a huge piece of supply chain as well, right?
Yeah.
So if you're going to open an import if you're going to open an import export business, your supply chain is going to be the heartbeat of your business. So you're going to want to understand supply chain from beginning to end, because it's going to mean the difference of you being competitive or flopping. Right? Because
In terms of time and price, is that what you mean?
no, I'm just talking even when it comes to customer experience. Have you ever listened to any of my podcast episodes?
Oh, I never had a chance.
Okay. Well,
Where could I find it?
when you have a chance, so anywhere that you listen to podcasts, depending on what phone you have, it's on iTunes or Google
On
Play, or it's called Let's Talk Supply Chain.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I do listen to podcasts a lot.
Oh,
All about
awesome.
the news.
Add me to the
I
list.
didn't know that you have it. So it's Let's Talk.
Let's talk. Let's
Talk
talk, and then supply chain.
Supply Chain.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
And then I have a woman in supply chain series, so you can learn from other women in supply chain.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I
Oh,
also interview different companies that are in supply
that's
chain,
a lot.
different people. Oh yeah, no, I have.
How many times you've been collecting all these?
So I release a new episode every Monday,
It's
every
one.
single week. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I've
Oh,
just.
since 2016.
Oh yeah, I've been doing it for a few years.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
And so I just added a blog to the website. So now I have blogs on there if you're looking for articles. And I'm just about to launch my YouTube channel. So I'm going to
Oh,
have like a TV show, and I'm going to have some video series. So a lot of really great content to help you, get launched into supply chain. But a lot of what I talk about on the show is that your supply chain is tied to the customer experience. So when your customer receives your product, and you've done the packaging really well, they're excited to get the product, they open it up, they get the product, that's one thing. But it's everything else ahead of that that gets it to that point. How long did they have to wait for delivery? Did it come in damaged? Do you have the product in stock? How long does it take to get from your manufacturer? Right? All of those elements of supply chain result in the customer experience that your customer is going to experience when they receive your product.
wow.
And that experience is what translates into new business for you.
Oh.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Okay.
So your supply chain is the heartbeat. If you're going to open an import-export business, the supply chain is the heartbeat of that business. It's super, super important.
Okay. So I'm imagining that I would need a huge team to
No,
cover all
no.
those work.
No, you don't need a huge team. You just need to be able to strategically make sure that the components are working together like a well-oiled machine. You can still outsource that. I mean, you're not going to do your own ocean freight. You're not going to do your own air freight. You're still going to rely on a freight forwarder to do that. When it comes to sourcing your product, you're probably going to want to do that yourself, but there's a lot to think about, right? What do you want? What do you want your company to represent? Is it sustainability? Are you looking for sustainable product? Are you looking for sustainable material? Where are your materials going to come from? Because if you're going to source raw materials, ship them here, and make your finished product here, your duty rates, right? Your customs rates are going to be based on where you're buying that material. Right? If you're going to buy a finished product, let's say from China, right?
Yep.
And you're going to bring that finished product to Canada. Well, depending on where it is from China, depending on what it's made of, depending on what the product is, that's going to determine your duty rates, your customs rates, and all that kind of stuff. So what I'm saying to you is that each part of the supply chain is interconnected. So even if you're at the sourcing part to figure out what product you want to bring in, it's going to affect everything. Yeah. And as long as you keep that in mind when you're going through everything, you should be fine, because you don't want to react, right? You don't want to get the product and figure out what product and get excited and da-da-da-da. And then you're going to find out that you got to pay 25% duty, and then it prices it out of the market.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yes. Okay.
So it's not about like needing a big team. It's about your mindset and, understanding how it all interconnects and how you want to see that, how you want your customer to feel when they receive your product. What is your company about? What's the product that you want to do? Where is it going to be sourced? How's that going to affect your importing?
Okay.
There's a lot that goes into it.
There's a lot of things to think about. I think yes, but I'm still asking that, do I really need to know all those pieces on the supply chain?
I think that you need
a small business, right?
Yeah, I think that you need to have a good understanding of it, so that you can be proactive instead of reactive. Because being reactive is going to cost you time and money.
Okay.
But I don't want to say that and have you stop moving forward.
Okay.
Like, it shouldn't be a hurdle to moving forward, right? It shouldn't paralyze you and be like, oh, I don't know enough. I can't do this.
Yes.
It should be a motivator to maybe read up, listen to some of my podcasts on supply chain, to kind of understand, just to make sure that your mindset is there and that you're not just thinking about finding a product to sell, that you're thinking about how it's going to affect your import costs.
I see.
Right?
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Because before I was just thinking very simple that since I know the products, right, I know where to get the products, the good products that can fit their demand here,
right?
And if I know how to sell it here, then I can have my business. But it's not that simple. So the biggest part of the job would be in the middle to bring it over here. As you
Well, I would do your research before you buy the product. So if you know what that product is, you know where it's coming from, you can figure out your manufacturer should be able to tell you what your HTS code is. The first 6 digits of your HS classification, right? Yep. If you can get that, you can go on to the database and look it up. And then you'll see what your duty rates are.
Yep.
Right? What's your minimum run? How much do you have to buy? And ask them how many boxes that's going to be. And then you can ask a freight forwarder for a quote, or you can go on to like a freightos.com, which is a platform. You can enter in all your details and you can get an idea of what the freight's going to cost you.
Freightos?
Freightos.com, yeah.
Okay.
Soon you're going to be able to go to my platform, but I'm just not ready yet. But anyways, So these are all the things that you want to do, because that's going to determine what your costs, what your landed costs are going to be here before you even buy the product.
Okay.
Right? Because super important. You need to know what those costs are. I mean, it's one thing to invest in the product, and that's really exciting, right? You've got the product, you know it's going to sell, you know, I've put the money
Yeah.
in, they're making it, it's ready to go. And then, oh my goodness, I need to ship it. And holy moly, it's going to cost me that much. And then when it gets to Canada, it's the customs broker goes, there is 5% GST and there is 12% duties, and your commercial invoice is for $50,000. And you've got 17% on top of that to pay that you didn't really account for. Then what? You're going to be like, oh my goodness, where am I going to find this money? If you don't have it already set aside and you haven't prepared for it.
I see.
Right? And then that's additional cost to your bottom line. So your margins keep going like that, because originally you thought your margins were like this, and then things
Exactly.
keep cutting in.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you know, where's your margin at? Is it even worth it anymore?
So other than that, are there any risk that I should consider too?
Absolutely. I really don't think that you should buy product until you have sales.
Okay. Until I have so.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
And the reason why I say that, and that's, you know, that's a difficult thing to do in this market because of the Amazon theory, right? You need to deliver within a few hours, you need to deliver within a few days, right? But the one thing that I can tell you in previous experience, and I have done this, I have bought product and not had sales, and I've sat on product. Not that I didn't have a good product, not that people didn't like my product, but marketing costs a lot of money. And if you don't have the money to put into marketing, nobody's going to know about your product, and then nobody's going to buy your product. And there's a lot of noise out there, right? There's a lot of noise. People are getting thrown product. They're getting product in their face all day long. So how do you, you know, cut through that noise and get people, you know, get in front of people to say, hey, you know, come buy my product. I know you need it. Right? If you can't cut through that noise, people think that, you know, they've got the best product and it's all great and all that, and they see a lot of things on TV where people have been instantly, you know, successful, right? The product's instantly sold. Well, no, some of that took 3 years. It took a year. It took 2 years to get sales. So the only thing that I'm saying to you is that I really don't think that you should invest in product until you have proven sales, until you have sales.
Okay.
And if you're buying the product from overseas, your minimum order runs are going to be really big. And then what? All of your money is tied up in product, sitting on a shelf, waiting for an order. And I'm not saying that your product's not going to sell. I'm not saying that your product's not a good product. This happens to everybody. It's happened to me.
So what
So,
did you?
well, I am still kind of struggling with it a little bit, although I would not do that again. I would not invest in product without sales ever again. Never. What I would do is take a look at maybe like one of those campaigns, you know, like an Indiegogo campaign, because that buys you time. So if you do like an Indiegogo campaign and you get people to buy the product and you tell them that they have to wait for the product to be manufactured, you already know how many you've sold. People know how long it's going to take for them to get delivery, and they're investing in you.
Oh, what is that campaign? Can you explain
Like
more?
a Kickstarter campaign or an Indiegogo campaign. It's crowdfunding.
Ah,
Crowdfunding, right? So
Oh.
you'd go on there and you'd invest in a video to talk about your product and what it's going to do for people and that kind of thing. And then you would set up at different donation levels what they would receive. So if they donated $5, they'd get a high five from you. I don't know how much your product costs, but if they donated $100, let's say they get 3 of your products. Where and it's a discount because after the campaign's over, it's going to cost them $150 for 3 of them. Do you see what I'm trying to say?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I mean, if you go and look at Kickstarter or you go and look at Indiegogo, you can see other people's campaigns and what they've done.
Okay. Interesting.
But it's a way to get investment. And it also gives you the money to go and buy the product. So not only do you have sales, you have the money to buy the product.
Okay.
Right? So that's a good way. Another way is to launch a website, start selling the product, doing the marketing, but letting people know that it's going to take a certain amount of time before they get their product because you're just getting started. Right? There's no shame in saying I'm a startup, right? And I've got this product. It's, in manufacturing right now. So if you buy it, you're going to have to wait maybe 6 to 8 weeks. But as long as you're upfront with people before they buy it, I think that's okay. The only challenge with that is that you're going to be doing it one at a time. And you don't know where your sales are going to come from.
Yeah, I see. And that's not for some clothing or fashion stuff, but because people can't wait.
Yeah.
Okay. And what about Spotify or no? What
Shopify.
Shopify.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Shopify is an e-commerce website. Like I use WooCommerce right now, which is the same as Shopify. Woo, WOO Commerce. They're competitors to Shopify. From what I understand, Shopify is easier to use because they're more like drag and drop and things like that. So a lot of people like to use Shopify, but it's a website builder. It's not going to sell your product.
Yep. Okay. So what's the difference between Woo and Shopify?
I'm not entirely sure because I had somebody build my website and they decided to go with Woo. So I don't know what their decision was based on.
Oh, okay. So is it similar to Amazon?
No, it's just a website hosting.
Oh, okay.
Amazon actually sells the product. From what I understand, Shopify and WooCommerce are just sort of, they house the website.
Do you think Amazon actually sell our product?
Yeah, they're 2 different things. One's a marketplace that holds multiple different products. And Shopify, I believe, is just a website. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I wouldn't correlate Shopify to Amazon.
Yeah, because I never check out Shopify, and so, but I heard people here talk a lot about it because for small business like that, back in Vietnam, where I came from, people usually rely on Facebook.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they do that in South Africa too. I had a lady from South Africa on my podcast, and I was trying to get her to promote the episode on LinkedIn. But she said they do everything on Facebook.
On Facebook, yeah, exactly.
Which is kind of odd because I feel like we do a lot on Facebook, but I don't consider Facebook like my number one go-to. So
yeah, no, I think here people don't really use Facebook for for buying stuff. Oh, not much.
Not as much, I don't think.
Yeah, not as much.
So that's the other thing. I mean, you could utilize Facebook. You could utilize Facebook marketplaces. You just got to be upfront and honest about how long it's going to take for delivery.
Okay.
Or, if you're on Facebook, you could use Facebook groups. Like if you're in groups and things like that, target market, you could get accepted maybe to some of those groups, and you could start some market research. You can throw some posts out there to say, hey, this is the type of product that I'm thinking of bringing in. What do you think? How many of you would buy it?
Okay, yeah, that's a good idea.
And then you get an idea of your market ahead of time too, right?
Okay, yeah.
But keep in mind
The
amount of responses that you get, I would only count on 20% actually buying. People saying one thing and doing another are completely different.
Okay.
Right? So use the 80-20 rule, and I'd go with 20 as a worst case scenario.
Oh, all right. Okay.
I hope I'm not like quashing your import export dreams. I'm just trying to put it into reality.
No, I'm sure that with your experience would be very helpful. I should try, or I should go through all this and see which can fit me best, right?
Right.
I don't think I would start with something big, like to get too much involved with supply chain also.
Right.
Yeah, because I'm more about marketing. So, okay, interesting. Wow. Yeah, it's good to know that there's a lot of things to consider when we do supply chain. Do you think that we need some kind of traits or competence to manage that well? Because I'm not very good at details job. I'm not sure it would require that, or we just need to organize well the system. I mean, I don't know how to be confident with I'm not sure if you.
Okay, listen. You need to find the confidence anyways. If you're going to be an entrepreneur and you're going to embark on this business, you're going to be uncomfortable every single day. So you need to get comfortable with being uncomfortable and not knowing everything, because you don't know everything. But you have the resources and the tools available to you to figure it out. So it might not go as fast as you wanted it to or predicted it to, and that's okay, as long as you're doing things on a daily basis towards that goal, right? So you might not have the confidence in every single area of supply chain. That's fine, because entrepreneurship and building a business should be about learning and growing. Because if you're not learning and growing, how is your business growing?
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
How are you figuring it out which way to go into? I mean, you might have an idea from the beginning, but you might go this way and then go that way, and it might end up completely different 5 years down the road. And that should be okay with you. Because as an entrepreneur, you need to be flexible. You need to be flexible. You need to be able to deal with crap, and you need to be able to deal with awesome, awesome days. But not get too far down on the crappy days and too far up on the amazing days.
Okay.
Because you need to have balance. Right? Because as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, when things go bad and you have employees, you have to pay them, and you might have to take a pay cut. That is entrepreneurship. Right?
Okay.
And not every day is going to be that amazing day. You're going to have some amazing, 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 amazing days. And then you're going to have some days where you're going to be like, I don't even know how I got out of bed today. And you got to be okay with that.
You've been there, done that, right?
Oh, I have been there, honey. Let me tell you. I go through it all the time. All the time. right? Questioning what we're doing, questioning what I'm doing. Not, maybe I'm not charging enough money. Maybe maybe I need to do this. Maybe I need to do that, but I need to stay focused on what I want and what my goal is and what my vision is. And am I working every single day towards that? If what I'm working on right now, is that going towards that goal, that vision? If it's not, I have to question it and maybe put it aside for now. Right? And you're going to be making those types of decisions every single day. And it's okay. Like, you cannot be paralyzed in fear that you're going to make the wrong decision, because you're going to make the wrong decision. At some point, you're going to make a wrong decision.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I would say about that. But regardless of all of that, go into action. Just do it and figure it out.
Yeah.